Hey guys, Elito after once again back with a brand new video, and today we're going to discuss capital matchmaking episode 5, and that's the idea of competitive scoring. Now, what is competitive scoring? So for most, we discussed market feasibility in the previous episode, and we talked about the idea of look, what you need to do your research, to go out there and prospect your customers, to understand whether or not what you have is a viable product or option so that they can actually go out there and purchase it and do business with you. Now, part of capital matchmaking, one of the biggest things that you need to prioritize on is the concept of what we call competitive scoring. And how does competitive scoring work? That's a key topic that we're going to be discussing today in Capital Matchmaking Episode 5. Okay, so let's get started. And so the first thing you want to talk about when it comes to competitive scoring is your market competition, right? Where do you stand uniquely? And in one sentence, how can you describe your unique benefit when a customer reaches out to you? Or let's say if you're going out there and you were to advertise a brand or product or service, what is one unique thing about you that you can do in one sentence that would basically make you stand out from your competitors? Now that's a very important tool. You need this because this is part of, the 5 steps in competitive scoring. So that was the first step. The second step you need to understand is, how are your product and services, right, different from your competitors? Why should customers choose your products or services in comparison to your competitors? Now, the first point we discussed, the competitive advantage, which is your business, your philosophy. Why would customers choose you as a business? And then, of course, based on your business, the consideration is done. What does your product or service solve that your competitors' product or services cannot solve, right? That's a key point and why you need to be really, really competitively, scoring yourself in sense that, okay, well, we looked at market feasibility, we studied, we did some interviews, and we went through some different categories of issues that, existing customers have by purchasing a product or service from your competitors. And from that perspective, right, from that perspective, what is it that you're doing differently that tackles those issues and challenges? And you really need to have that boiled down to the T prior to moving ahead and structuring your business model so that first of all, investors, they're not foolish, they're intelligent individuals or group of people, and they will ask these type of questions, and you really need to describe that in a very concise and straight and direct way without any fluff. And you have to really prove your point, and you have to show that you've done your research, that you actually know what you're talking about. So that's very important. Okay. The next thing you want to talk about is flexibility. That's the third step in competitive scoring. And what I mean by flexibility is, let's say you as a business owner, like if you were to change infrastructure, if something came new and your customers demanded so much, are you able to quickly adapt? Are you able to quickly change that without, affecting your existing infrastructure? And what I mean by that is your existing infrastructure can be something like, let's say, you have a system in which you can generate leads for customers, and people utilize that like an email marketing service. And then all of a sudden you need to create landing pages. Now, will it affect your existing infrastructure? Does your customers have to wait and shut down the website until it's built? Or can you do it while keeping the infrastructure and work on that beta? And you can let some of your existing customers test it out and let them get the feel of it, and then slowly integrate that into your whole business model, right? So some of these things, right? Like I'm talking about software and tech. I'm definitely describing that in a sense that, look, you're a company that's basically doing software and tech, SAS, software and solutions. But if you're looking at, things that are like physical products or services, like what are some of the things that you can do to competitively score yourself in terms of flexibility so that your existing infrastructure is not held or shut down until you develop that new protocol? What can you do that's in flexibility with your business model that allows you to be flexible in terms of creating that infrastructure while maintaining your existing one, right? So that's very, very important. Another component, and that's the fourth step in competitive scoring, is do you have systems in place? If you are to go absent for a couple of weeks because of certain emergencies or you have to work on your other businesses, if you were to go absent and something happens, God forbid, right? What systems do you have in place for adapting? So let's say if somebody that you hire coming from the outside looks at your business and essentially they look at that and say, well, this is something I can take on and then start my new process and then adapt to this business and continue running this business even in my absence, right? So that's one thing, because a lot of key business owners, when they hire managers, when they hire executives in their company, during their absence, one of the biggest things that happen is the protocol is not there all the time, and business comes to a halt, or there are so many different issues that the business owner comes back to. One of the biggest things for an investor to know is that, look, if I'm going to put money in a company, does it have the systems and protocols in place so that if that business owner were to go absent, my money's still protected, my money's still working properly, right? So you need systems and protocols in place as part of the fourth step in competitive scoring, and you absolutely need to make sure that you boil it down to the T and that you can clearly define that and share that transparency with potential investors when you go and sit down with them. Okay. And then the last but not least, it's very important because a lot of people don't understand and realize the significance of succession planning, right? That's a fifth step in competitive scoring. And what I mean by succession planning is, let's say if you are, giving up your business and you have to move on to greater or better things while your business is still, competitive, it's still doing, good revenue on a yearly basis, and your investors are still happy with you. When you have to move on, when you have to, basically give up your throne and go to the next phase, who are you planning to place as your successor? Who is that person? How do you qualify that? How would you make sure that that individual is going to run it the same way you did? That individual is going to be basically taking care of the business and the investor's money, and with pure diligence and effort and hard work and determination as you did, and making sure that the investors are happy. So these are the things that competitive scoring is really about, right? So you have to have that down. You really need to know what you're doing. And once again, to recap, the first point of competitive scoring is, in one sentence, how can you describe yourself being different from your competitors that would make you stand apart in competitive scoring? The second step we discussed was your product and services. How do they differ? We talked about market feasibility in episode 4, in the last episode, and we discussed, look, you can actually go out there and do some interviews. You can go ahead and collect data. But when you come and create a product or service for your own business, how does that stand apart? How is it different? So that's something that you want to describe as well. Also, we talked about flexibility, right? If you were to create new infrastructure, can you maintain your existing one without it affecting your overall business activities? And if so, then what are some of the steps and protocols that you have in place to make sure that it will go smoothly, right? And then we talked about systems. In your absence, something goes wrong, or if you have to adapt new management, what systems and protocols do you have in place that'll keep the business running smooth while you integrate that individual into your business systems, right? While you integrate that person or key management executive into your existing business infrastructure as they're taking over. And then last but not least, we talked about the fifth step in competitive scoring, which is succession planning, right? How do you plan on making sure, and what are the checks and balances you have in place, that the individual that's going to be succeeding you, or your successor, he's going to be, or she's going to be handling all the work that's been done so far. He's going to handle the business the way it's been successful so far, and still stay competitive while, innovating, or doing more R&D, and of course, going out into the new market and creating new paradigms and shifts to make the business all the more competitive and all the more successful, right? So that is what competitive scoring is all about. I hope this video was helpful. I hope you found some value into this. And of course, if you have any questions, you can always leave your comment below on this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Turn the notification on so that every new video that we post up, you'll get notified. Thank you. This is Ali Raptor, your guide and mentor. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.